Look, you've tried everything and nothing seems to be working. And the reason why is because when I coach guys, most of the time they come to me, they're working on these external things and they're not really working on their mindset. One of the biggest problems that I notice is that men always justify their addictions. There's always somebody to blame. My wife doesn't want to have sex. I'm stressed out. I'm single, all these different reasons of why we rationalize porn. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how to actually combat them so that you can have lasting freedom. And so, first of all, let's begin with this kind of paradigm is that everything begins with our mindset. I think a lot of guys struggling to quit any kind of addiction begin with the action. They start working on what do I need to do differently in my life? And that is the wrong question to ask. The very first question you need to ask is, how can I think differently? Because your mind is going to dictate your emotions, and your emotions are going to dictate your actions. So, for you to be able to change your actions, you need to work on your emotions, but you can't necessarily deal with your emotions properly unless you first work on your mindset. We all know that it is out of those emotions that we then act in our life. The emotions of anger or frustration or rejection, whatever it is we're struggling with that day, that then leads us to the action of watching pornography. And so, how do you work on the mind? Well, look, let's just take one of the examples what guys use to justify them watching, which is everybody does it. So, a lot of guys, whether they're in church or whether they're not in church, a lot of guys are watching porn. So, I guess it makes it okay. Well, let's look at the truth on the other side of things, because the reality is that Satan has all of these lies that he tells us that he wants us to believe, and the more that he can make us believe these lies, the longer that we're going to be stuck. And this is what he did with Eve in the garden. And what he told Eve was that, if you're going to take of the fruit, you're not going to die. You're actually going to be like God. Like God is holding something back from you. But the reality is that that was a lie. God was not holding anything back from them. He actually gave them everything. And he said, just don't eat from the one tree, but you have everything else. And so Satan is always making us feel like God is holding out on something for us. Like he doesn't want us to have good in our life. And so we come up with these lies. We believe the lies that Satan told Eve back then. And then he tells us these same lies. So what are these lies? One of the first ones is the fact that I deserve it. The reality is this: only proud men watch porn. We walk around thinking we deserve it. I had a hard day. I'm stressed out. I worked a lot, so I deserve it. Now I need to feed my pleasure because I've been working so hard. And that is a lie we buy into. And I used to do that. I would, after home group sometime teaching, I would be walking upstairs into my room and think, man, that was such an amazing home group. I deserve some kind of relaxation. I deserve some kind of rest. And so I would then go and watch pornography, which was like ludicrous. You would think that is so stupid, but I justified it in my mind because I deserved it. Then I went to go act upon it. Well, another one is my wife is not interested in having physical intimacy. My sex drive is so high. How can I get over that in my life? But friends, the reality is that all of these things are lies. They're lies to keep us being stuck. So on the other hand, instead of saying, well, everybody watches it, the reality is this: doesn't matter what everybody does. It matters what God says is okay or not okay. When we're talking about your relationship with your wife and she doesn't want to have intimacy with you, you do not go against the covenant that you made at the altar and say that my pleasure is more important than obedience to God and keeping the covenant with my wife. That's literally what you're saying when you're watching porn. You're literally saying that what I want, I deserve, and I can have it, and it's more important than the covenant that I made with my wife. And so what is it that you are believing today that is causing you to then act out? What are you believing in your mind that is then feeding your emotions and then leading to the actions in your life? And if you can figure that out, if you can figure out the lie that you've been believing, that is going to be a major step to be able to be free. Everything begins with the mind, and it's the renewing of the mind. And this is exactly what Romans chapter 12 says, that we are being transformed by the renewing of our mind. That's exactly what the Apostle Paul teaches. And so, brothers, this is what you need in the fight. It's a renewal of your mind to think differently, to think biblically, to not believe the lies of Satan, but to believe the truth of God's word for lasting freedom in your life. If this was helpful to you, like and subscribe. I'm going to be posting content like this twice a week to give you guys all the resources that you need to quit porn for good in your life.